think I've made a bit of a mistake while working on my Jaguar F-Type. Here's why. So in the last video we started work on the interior of the car by removing the dashboard because the airbags had gone out of it. And that looks something like this. And I now have parts for the interior of the car laid all around my garage. And if I'm being honest, I can't remember where they all go. And that's for one simple reason. I think I've left it like this for too long. So now what I'm going to have to try and do is reverse my steps and get the dashboard back in, remembering to plug everything in, try and remember where everything goes, and remembering where all the bolts go to. Now you may remember from the last video, I actually took both dashes to be retrimmed onto another one, so it matches the individual spec on the interior of the F-Type SVR. But I've now got my other dashboard back from the guys at Auto Trim Solutions, and they have absolutely nailed it, to be honest with you. So now this is ready to go back in the Jag. So Liam's going to help me put the dash back in because a problem shared is a problem halved, and now this is your problem. Let's go. And with that short, sharp intro, we get straight back to work and get that fresh dash straight back in the car. Liam helped me take the dash out of the car, so it's only right he helps me put it back in too, but it is quite a simple one luckily, and is not too bad of a job. The main thing now is just remembering the order that everything goes back together to make sure nothing gets missed out. So we start off with the main bolts which hold the frame of the dashboard to the car itself. I believe there was roughly about 10 of these. And also obviously I can't forget plugging in the new airbag. There's one connector on either end of the airbag and also two earths, and while I'm connecting that up, Liam decides to tighten some bolts up on the top of the dash. Liam! I can't believe you've done this.
No! No!
No!
Oh! That was so hard to do as well.
What have you got to say for yourself?
I've accidentally cracked the windscreen.
Do you know what's funny?
What?
Because this would have been easier to do with the windscreen out.
Now we've got to take the windscreen out
Now
anyway.
the windscreen's got to come out anyway, and this is going to be done by that point. I can't believe you've done this.
You're just gonna... I can. I'm sorry, Chris.
I'm so disappointed.
Can I carry on with this?
And it was all going so well. Do you know what? Sometimes a problem shared is a problem doubled. So now Liam has basically written off my car all over again. We can continue putting the dash back together. So next to go in is the clocks. These are simple. You just plug them in and there is 3 bolts holding them in. One at the top that goes into the little cover and also 2 into the frame of the dashboard. Now while I'm fitting this, Liam is fitting up the poo yourself handle. This is because when you're planting it in this car, the passenger needs somewhere to hang on to for dear life. Now we did have a little bit of difficulty lining this up at first, but that was because we had the gear stick kind of trim and all of that sort of stuff in the wrong place. Once we got that positioned right, it went in a dream and we can get all of the bolts in. So how are we getting on then, Liam? We're having a good time.
We're having an absolute smashing time.
Yeah, we are absolutely smashing through it, to be fair. We're making a cracking job of it. So far, I actually don't think we've missed a bolt.
I don't think we've missed a bolt.
No.
But we'll find out at the end.
We will find out. It'll cause me a splitting headache if we do have any that's, left.
Can you stop with the puns now?
Do you feel guilty?
No, not now.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm still a little bit bitter because Liam broke my windscreen. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, but anyway, I think the only thing that's going to fix that is time, and also, if you guys at home, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because that really helps things.
Silver one there. We'll go for a black one there. A black one there.
Now, probably the most awkward thing here is remembering the exact order that everything goes together, because it only goes together in one particular order. So we did end up taking things in and out a few times to make sure it was actually going together correctly in the end. Okay, there is the 5 that kind of hold this gear stick thing in place, but we didn't know which ones should be silver and which ones should be black. What have you done, Liam? You done the same as me? You got black at the front?
I've done black there.
Yeah.
And then directly opposite it, low down, I've done silver.
Yeah.
And then above that, I've done black.
Yeah.
And then the one this side, I've done silver.
Is a full house. Smashing job.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Be careful not to crack it.
Everything is going pretty swimmingly, everything is going back together, but we have misplaced 2 of the cables down here when they should be up here. So we need to try and hopefully get those out from wherever they are and then tuck them back up to where they need to be, and then we're back on course. So this is more or less, I think, the last bit before, well, we've got the screen to go in as well and the dash vents, but the glove box is, so that'll make it the third last bit. Is that right, Liam?
My maths isn't very good.
I was kind of hoping when I put the glove box back in it was just going to work, but I don't think that's going to be the case because, well, it's still not latching even when it's not on the car, so I think I'm going to have to replace this, but I can't imagine this being expensive because it comes on, well, every F-Type, so should be nice and easy. This time. It's not worked. Even though we had to take things in and out a few times to get them together in the right order, progress is progress, and we just had to work our way through it until the car started to take shape again. Which at this point, it's pretty much there. It's just the final finishing trims which cover up all of the bolts that have got to go on, and then we can try and start it up for the first time and make sure that everything's working. I genuinely was dreading doing this job, and I'm actually glad that it was nowhere near as bad as I thought, which actually tends to be the case with a lot of jobs on most cars really. It's always the thought of doing it which is actually worse than just getting stuck in, especially when you've got a helping hand from a mate and just getting it done. My words of advice if you are going to tackle a dashboard at home is already have a new dashboard so you can see where all the bolt holes are.
Absolutely cracking, mate.
And maybe don't borrow Liam to help you do it if you want your windscreen to be in one piece. Okay, so there is the dashboard completoed. We absolutely smashed it out of the park. And to be fair, the bolt score wasn't too bad either. We've got 2 left over, which I think it's pretty good, isn't it, Liam? I think.
But as dashes go.
As far as dashes go, don't leave me hanging.
Oh, I didn't see you. I've got camera.
Yes.
Over.
I think for a first time dash job for us too. I know you've done 1 or 2 before, but. Yeah.
2's a good score.
2's a good solid score. I mean, they are quite big ones. That's the only problem. Like, they're not little trim bolts, but you know that ain't going nowhere. Solid as a rock. But we have lost. It is safe as houses. We have lost one bit. There's a little trim which goes just here, and I put it down on camera just here, and it's not there anymore. So let's see. Firstly, whether our installs worked and everything turns on. So okay. And then I'm going to have a look here. Ooh. SVR. What do you reckon odds on it being down here then?
It's got to be behind one of these seats, and if it's not...
It's when you hear a crunch, isn't it? Ding, 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 ding. Liam is that determined he's gone for the driver's seat as well. I've kind of given up really, I've called it gone, but...
I want to find it.
Yeah, well, I think you just feel bad for breaking my windscreen still.
Hold your hand out.
You were right.
You didn't want to take this seat out?
I didn't think it was there. I actually didn't think it was there, mate. But well done. So here is the final piece.
Thanks, Liam.
Honestly, Liam, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't appreciate you breaking my windscreen, but I appreciate your help anyway. Oh, I'm doing this. There we go. There we go. And everything seems to be working. I can't see anything that's not. That screen came on early, didn't it? The centre screen. This is all working. The clocks are all working. Did these come up at any point? Oh, you didn't plug it in, did you?
What?
The plug for that.
You plugged it in?
No, I didn't. We pulled the plug out, didn't we? So me and Liam took the dash apart again last night, not as far obviously, just to be able to plug in that centre vent that comes up and down in the dash, but that is now done. There's only one airbag left, and that is the steering wheel one. You may remember from before I had to cut these wires because the plugs were melted to the old airbag, and I've got 2 options in what I can do here. Now the first option is the slightly sketchy option. I can actually buy the plugs and I could cut and splice those wires and put the plugs back on, and I could plug it into an airbag, stick it on, and it should in theory be good to go. This is what everyone has actually told me to do. Even someone that works at Jaguar told me this, that it's perfectly safe and will not cause a problem. But I know you guys at home can be a little bit pedantic, and I want this car to be absolutely unquestionably perfect. So what I've done is order a whole new clock spring. The clock spring is the section which goes just behind the steering wheel and allows the wheel to turn with the buttons and the cables, you know, without those getting snagged essentially. So I've ordered a new one of those. It comes with new indicator stalks and bits and bobs like that. It was £200, but safety is something you can't put a price on, and the same applies when you're online. And that is exactly the reason why you need NordVPN. A VPN is a virtual private network. This is going to help you stay secure online and keep your information away from scammers and hackers. But Nord does so much more than just that. Here's one for you. Did you know that where you are in the world actually affects the price of the things that you're buying online? So say for example, you're just like me and you hate adverts. Well, YouTube Premium in the UK is over £15 a month, but in Turkey, it's actually less than £2 a month, which is crazy, I know. So using NordVPN, you can virtually pick yourself up and change your location to Turkey and buy it there, so you don't have to pay full price in the UK. Crazy savings. And this also works with things like getting cheaper hotel room prices, and even on Netflix. If there's something that you wanted to watch that you can't find on Netflix in your country, try changing your location and see what comes up. So to get NordVPN, go to my link in the description or nordvpn.com/Chrisslix and get their 2-year deal, and using my link, it's going to get you 4 bonus months for free. And even better than that, it's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. But thank you to the guys at NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Right, so the dash is now in the Jag, and well, there is something else that needs doing in here, because on these cars they have an airbag ECU which is tucked kind of right down there underneath the centre console at the back, and you've got 2 options. You can either change it or reset it, and to change it, obviously, I've got to get in there, take everything out, and to reset it, normally I'd have to take it out and, well, send it off to be reset. But we have just made a key for the i30, so while you're here, we may as well see if we can reset this ECU whilst it's in the car.
I definitely can't promise, but I will definitely try.
We can try. It's worth a shot.
I'm very good at pressing buttons. I'll press them until it works.
Let's give it a go. So we may as well make use of Mark from Premium Bespoke Auto Works and see if he can reset the airbag ECU on the Jag. Right, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's an outstanding campaign on my car for Pass My Noise in Latch Special Program Mode. So I'm guessing in SVR Race Mode, that means the car's too loud. I mean, that's just cool, isn't it? So Mark plugs in his dongle and starts pressing some buttons and loads some stuff up and sees what he can do with this airbag ECU. It will be an absolute godsend if he can sort this out for me, because taking out that airbag ECU will be a nightmare. It's underneath the centre console, basically mounted to the body of the car, so it'll be a right ball ache getting in there. So this is the what?
RCM's restraints control module, so basically SRS.
So that's the airbag ECU.
That's the airbag ECU.
So 17 faults in there.
Crash event stored.
Full and locked. Test failed, yes. So here is what I don't know what we're looking at.
The restraints control module here,
okay,
which is the airbag module.
Right, okay.
So what we've done is we've read the data out, we've reset it, and then we've written the data back to it.
Okay, so it's fixed. Not that I can tell the difference.
The airbags are fixed.
The airbags are fixed. There's still a bit more to do, but
there's plenty to do.
That's the airbag ECU reset without taking it out of the car. So that saves me dismantling the whole interior to get to that, which is kind of in between the seats at the back. So it is a bit of a completely different place to dismantle than what I wanted to do anyway. Okay, dash is sorted for now. There is a few tiny little bits left to sort on the interior, but we need to finish off this corner of suspension, which we started about a video or 2 ago. Oh. And that is with this. This is a drop link for the anti-roll bar. So this goes just here between the anti-roll bar and, well, just here with the hub, but I can't get that in at the moment. It is a lovely fit. So this is the final piece to finishing off this corner of suspension, and once this is tight, I can call this bit done. That's the first part of this project finished then. Suspension completed. Good news! Good news! My new clock spring is finally here. So, I say finally, I ordered it and it showed up about 2 days later, so not actually too bad, but we can get that fitted. And this should be a doddle of a job. All I've got to do is take the steering wheel off, which is made even easier because I left the airbag which had blown out of the steering wheel, which just makes sense. And then that reveals the cowling which I need to remove, which once that's off, I can then get to that clock spring. The cowling did have some hidden bolts in it. It has, I think, 2 underneath, and then once you get that off, there's 3 which hold the top one in place, which I thought was a little bit weird because I think these are normally clipped in. But then once that was off, it was 4 bolts to get the clock spring off and a few plugs, and then I could put the new one on the car. This is just an exact reverse of what I've already done. So the 4 bolts go back in which hold the clock spring on, and then it's just the cowling and the steering wheel to go on. But now this gives the perfect solution for our airbag plug situation, meaning there is no dodgy repaired wires which could impact the safety of the car in the future. Now just before the steering wheel goes on, that red tab has to come off because then that holds the clock spring in place to make sure the ribbon doesn't snap. But you can remove that, then put the steering wheel on, tighten the bolt up, and then the final piece is the airbag. Okay, now for the final piece of the steering wheel airbag puzzle, the steering wheel airbag. So all I need to do is connect this up here. So this blue plug goes to the blue one on the airbag. So that's that one. There's the yellow one, it goes to the yellow one. There's that one. They snap into place nicely. And then I've got 2 earths. There's one just, don't know which one's supposed to be which. I'm guessing the big one's the big one. That one goes there. And this should, in theory, yes! That's it. Just to do the horn check. Horn's not plugged in. So everything here seems to be working. The only thing that doesn't seem to work is the horn, but I'm not sure whether this would stop it working. The fact that it's not got a bonnet for some reason, or the fact that I've not got the front bumper loom plugged in. Is that going to make the horn not work, even though it seems like everything else is? I think that's a strong possibility. If the front bumper's not plugged in, it's a high chance the horn won't work. That's what I'm going to go with anyway. If it doesn't work when I get the front bumper all on and assembled, then I know it's something behind here that I've just done then. And the interior is now nearly there anyway, so the only things left are the seat belts and also the glove box I've got to change. I've ordered a new glove box, so that's on its way. And the seat belts, well, I picked some up from Dan with that F-Type LM. Well, I thought I did. I can't remember where I've put them, to be honest with you, so I need to find those because I haven't seen them since I got back, so I might have ended up leaving them at his place. But knowing me, there could be anywhere, to be fair, so I'm sure they'll show up. So on both sides for the headlights, there's a small plastic bracket which is just here. As you can see, on both sides it's also broken, so I've got a new one of these ready for some new headlights. Oh! Right, new one. It should go on easy as that. I think this also holds the bumper as well as the headlight, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure it will make a bit more sense as it starts going back together. Now, you may remember from the video where I mentioned that I was potentially getting scammed, but it turns out it was exactly the opposite to that. The red bumper that I went to order, which might be just up here, the guy who owns that company actually rang me and really apologised for the situation that happened with that and said, if there's anything that I can do to help you out, let me know, because I might have parts lying around for your car. And I said, well, funnily enough, there is, because I still need headlights, a grille, and a rear diffuser. And he said, Chris, no problems, give me 2 minutes and I'll come right back to you. And he did, and he came back to me with a headlights, a diffuser for an SVR rear bumper, and the front grille, which you've seen me fit in the last video, and that obviously went swimmingly. Now what we need to try and do is fit these headlights that he's given us to the car. I'm going to leave a link to his eBay store in the description. He's a good guy, honestly. I think his name's Richard, and it's like Car Bumpers 12 or something. My man's a legend. So anyway, now we have a headlight for the car. It does need a bit of a clean up, but if there's anyone that can do that, we know from the past that it is definitely me. So now what we've got to do is clip this headlight into its fixing points. It's got 3 of them. So we've got one at the top here, one on this bar here, and one just here as well. So it should line up pretty easy. Something like, wow, it was almost like it was made for the car. There we go. And then the other one, which we can get to easily, is just there. And it's all coming together now. So now at this point, you'd like to see me test this headlight, and I would love to too, but we still have the problem of having absolutely no plug for the headlight. And I've looked everywhere for one. I've been ringing breakers, I've been looking all over eBay, trawling the internet, and even spoke to someone that deals with the wiring in the SVO department at Jaguar. So basically the person that built the wiring loom for this car, he can't get a plug for this headlight for me, so I'm still on the hunt and I cannot plug in this headlight and try it out, which is frustrating. But not as frustrating as these. So this is the F-Type SVR wheel arch liner, and well, the price of these is ridiculous. £700 each. So that's £1,400 for 2 front arch liners, which is just daft. Especially when I've got 2 F-Type R arch liners for a fraction of that. So this is the F-Type R arch liner, and this is what I've got left of the SVR arch liner. And well, this piece goes about here, like that, and that piece goes about there. Now you can see when I line those up, anyway, they're pretty similar. Like, I can't see many differences apart from, well, I'll run you through them. So the first one is round here. When I line this part up, you can see we've got a massive square missing out the SVR one that isn't missing out of the R one, which basically fits this little vent here, which I believe is for brake cooling. So is it possible, do we think, for me to use this as a template and cut a nice square out of here and fit that in there? I'm thinking quite possibly yes. Now, there is some other differences because round the back here, we've been talking about it for a while, the SVR wing comes in a bit more, as we can see from the SVR one compared to the R one. So I think using this as a template again, I should be able to trim the R one very neatly in an OEM style to make it exactly the same as the SVR one. Still with me? One final bit is round the front here. We can see the SVR arch liner's got a slight dimple in where the R1 is completely smooth. It's not massive, it's only small, so I'm thinking with a little bit of heat I should be able to caress this one and just make it beautifully contour like this £700 SVR arch liner for the cost of absolutely nothing. It seems like 3 very easy little jobs to turn something that is cheap into something expensive and save me just under £1,500. Okay, I've just had a parcel delivered and this one's a big deal because this is something that was really holding us back. This is, do you recognise it yet? The wing for the SVR. I had to buy it from Jaguar. It was ridiculously expensive, but it was literally the only place I could get it. I think it was like £700 just for that small bit of metal, which is disgusting, but when you've got no choice, it's one of those things you've just got to do it. So after weeks and weeks of waiting, and we weren't even sure if we were going to be able to get it, the SVR wing did show up from Jaguar, which I could not be happier about. I was very worried that we weren't even going to be able to get this part, and I was going to have to find some alternative solution, which wasn't what I wanted to do, but luckily it did, and all of the bolt holes lined up, and we're on to the next step. Right, I'm just kind of mocking all this up because I want to make sure it fits before I just send everything off to the body shop. I want to make sure I've got everything and that everything's right, but I have also got the second part to the wing, the outer plastic piece. This was much cheaper, this was only about £100, and I'm hoping this fits just as easily as that wing. So there's one kind of locating pin which should get it in the right position, and then it all should just slot into place, which it does sort of seem like it is. So let's get a bolt in up top here. Now when it comes to fixing the bottom, it doesn't actually bolt from down here, it bolts from inside the arch because that's where the side skirt clips into. So I'm only going to put one in here. I think there is actually 2, but one will hold it for now, no problems, until obviously, as I said, it comes back off to get painted. And that is the second kind of layer to the wing, which is specific to the SVR, also fastened up. I'm relieved. I feel relieved. Now I've got that wing. We're getting close. We are getting close, and I'm getting hyped for that first drive. Now, because I am leaving some bolts out, I'm keeping everything as organised as I can and labelling all the bolts and putting them in boxes, so when it does go back together, we get all of the right bolts in all of the right places. But we're still not quite there yet. There's still more parts to find, more to fit to the car, but not loads, so we're not a million miles off, and like I said, it's getting exciting now, but it's gonna have to wait till another video until we can get that done. So for now, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, and I'll catch you next time.